Welcome everyone, golfers, to episode 13 of season 2 of Hit It Where They Mow, Talking Golf in Texas, and this is a very appropriate show for the Baker's Dozen of season 2. It is my trip to the World Amateur, which is a big event held every year in Myrtle Beach, Greater Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The event, this was the 40th playing of the World Amateur, and it's a piece of marketing genius for the Myrtle Beach Chamber of Commerce because it attracts 3,200 men and women who play golf for 4 days, and so they do a good job of eating at the restaurants, playing on the golf courses, and staying in the hotels and different condominiums, etc., in the Myrtle Beach area. And so it's all started with my trip down to Love Field. Let me see if I can get this first slide up here. And there it is. These are some of the guys. There were probably 20-something guys on the plane. It was a direct flight from Dallas Love Field on Southwest Airlines to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And it's a handicap tournament. I will tell you right off the get-go that the guy that won it was from Pennsylvania, Christopher, I believe his last name was Drum. I've got it here, right here. Christopher, now where did I do with that? Christopher Rainey of Drum, Pennsylvania was the winner, and he had a 29 handicap, but it's done using your handicap. And the highlight of our trip, I went with two friends of mine from Tyler, George Rowe and Howie Alexander, and Howie Alexander ended up winning his flight. But moving right along here, this is the check-in point. They have two check-in points at the two PGA Tour Superstores, and these are giant retail operations. We have them here in Dallas. We have like 3 of them here, and so that's where we checked in and got our goodie bag. So even if you play poorly and don't win anything like yours truly, you still get a nice shirt and windbreaker and that kind of thing, towel with the World Amateur on it. And there's another picture of people checking in to get their goodie bag and get off to a good start. This man right here, I met, my favorite course during the trip was a course called Arrowhead. And that lets me tell you that there's probably 60 to 70 courses on a 50-mile stretch along the Atlantic Ocean of Greater Myrtle Beach, and then you go inward to like Conway, and then the University of Coastal Carolina, the Hackler course, which is where Mr. Alexander, my friend, played his final round in his winning effort in Flight 37. There's 3,200 people. There's 50-something flights with 60 people in each flight. This man right here was a gentleman I met who finished tied for 3rd in Flight 50. I was in Flight 59. And he's from Macon, Georgia. And his name is John Baker. He played very well. He plays a course outside of Macon, Georgia that I've played many times. It's a great golf course. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But his friend Rick Palmer was with him, and here's Rick hitting a chip shot there. This is the practice area at Arrowhead Golf Course there in Myrtle Beach, and he was in Flight 50 as well, and he did not finish as well as John Baker, but he did have a good tournament. You know, I like to say the things that I love about golf, what I get from golf, are number one, the people you meet, the places you see, the beauty of these courses in Myrtle Beach. The competitive thing, even though I didn't do that well, I was competitive. I'll get into the nitty-gritty about that in a minute. And also just the flight of the golf ball. I love to see a shot go where you're wanting it to go. And in every round, there seems to be 1 or 2 shots that come off that way. The better you are, the more shots come off the way you want them to come off. This was the gentleman, Richard Vaughn, that I played with at Arrowhead Golf Course. And Richard is 77 years old. My flight was 70 to 79, so I was a rookie at age 70. He's 77. He shot 76 the first round when I shot 92 at the International Club, which was the first course we played. and I didn't particularly like that course. I'd played it before. A lot of OB, a lot of lateral hazards. It's like playing in a straitjacket. You know, you're always afraid you're going to hit it OB or hit it into a water hazard. And so I struggled there. But Arrowhead was a bigger course, gave you more room to hit. Don't have any excuses there. He shot an 81 on the Arrowhead course, and he had a triple bogey and a couple of bogeys coming in. He was really playing well. Great grip, great stance. He ended up finishing third. He shot 91 his final round at the Meadowlands course up in Calabash, North Carolina. I'll get to that in a little while. I didn't get to play that day because my rental car wouldn't start, which was a blessing because I got to go up there and get a rain check to play some other time and go and visit the local people there. But Richard Vaughn, what a nice man he was to play with. There was another gentleman that I played with that day. It was a higher handicap, but he played well, and we had a good time that second day. Oh, this is one video that you've got to see. This is at Arrowhead Golf Course. And Hallie Alexander and I go back to high school days, and even before, when I worked as in the pro shop at Briarwood Country Club in Tyler for Paul Hendricks. And we had a big hill. We would drive the cart down and have to run up a big steep hill to take the carts in to have them charged. And we had a method where, I won't use the name of it, but it was don't get off your rear end, where we would take 2 carts down and drive 1 cart back up. And soon that was discovered, and we had to quit doing it. But this guy's driving 2 carts at once. He's got his foot on the accelerator of 2 different carts. I would hate to think about what could happen in that scenario, but anyway, it was worth seeing. This was the guy that ran the golf course in Calabash, North Carolina, Jacob McLam. And there was one of my fellow competitors that took his picture with Jacob there. That was the round I was disqualified from because my rental car wouldn't start, and I couldn't get up there till like 10 o'clock, and the tee-off time was 8:30. However, they had a rain and lightning delay when I got up there, and about half the field had already left. And they gave me a rain check to play some other time, but I couldn't join the other people in the middle of their round. So what did I do? I met Mr. W.J. McLam. What a great story this is. A family-owned golf course, the Meadowlands Golf Course in Calabash, North Carolina. And W.J. was a great talker, a great guy to talk to, I should say. He said the thing was be good to your clients, be good to your people that play your golf course. And his grandson Jacob was very personable and very nice. Really enjoyed talking to him. The second thing he said was present a golf course that's in good condition. The greens, number one, you had to have good greens, then good tee boxes, and then hopefully good fairways. Didn't get to play the course, but it looked like it was in really good shape. This was I wish I'd written her name down here. This was the lady that was serving the coffee and danishes there at the Meadowlands golf course, Meadowlands Golf Club. And I feel badly that I don't have her name handy. She was a wonderfully nice person. This is the W.J. McLam Farmstead. This golf course was built on the McLam farm there outside of Calabash, North Carolina, which is right on the border between North Carolina and South Carolina. This is a picture on this homestead or farmstead of a basketball goal. And North Carolina, as we know, is a basketball crazy state. So I had to take a picture of this. Of course, Michael Jordan is from Wilmington, North Carolina, not far from Calabash. And the North Carolina Tar Heels play some pretty mean basketball, as does North Carolina State and Duke, all these colleges that are located in North Carolina. So that's why I took that. This is the Island Vibe store in Calabash. I had a blast there, not having to play golf, had some time to look at things. And I love that island vibe because, you know, when you're on the coast, you got that certain feeling you get when you're near the beach. And so I pulled in there, and this is Cecilia, who was a wonderful person that I met, CC or Cecilia. And she's from Venezuela originally, and her husband lived there in Calabash, and she was a delight to talk to. And I bought a t-shirt and a bunch of magnets that go on the refrigerator for souvenirs for some of my friends when they get back to Big D in Dallas. This is the restaurant, that Bennett's Barbecue, which is there. There's the chair outside of it, the giant chair. And moving right along, this was Jessica who took my order. This was Mr. Bennett, who's deceased. This was his restaurant. It's a Christian restaurant, as you will see. A lot of things in there point to his Christian faith. This was Brittany. She was someone who waited on me as well. And she brought out my, there was a gentleman that came in, and I said, my goodness, is that a Super Bowl ring? And without even looking over, he said, better than that. And I thought, what could be better than a Super Bowl ring? Well, a national championship ring. These are the 2 national championship rings that Mr. McLam, Thurman McLam, who's a cousin of the owner of the golf course. He's on the board of regents at Clemson University. Clemson has won 2 national championships, one fairly recent and one back in the early 80s. So that's what he is, showing there. I forgot to take a picture of my pork sandwich and my sweet sauce and French fries, like a lot of people do for Facebook, but there it is, 2/3 eaten. I'm going to tell you, it's one of the best pork barbecue sandwiches I've ever eaten. This is because of a disqualification, didn't get to play that day. And by the way, this is a classmate of Mr. McLam's, and I don't have his name handy. What a gentleman he was. They meet for lunch there at least once a week there at Bennett's Barbecue in downtown Calabash. And this is in Christ alone my hope is found. So as I told you, this is a wonderful Christian restaurant there in Calabash, North Carolina. And this is a picture of Arrowhead Country Club. It was my favorite course, not only of this trip, but I've played in 4 tournaments there. This was my 3rd World Amateur, and I played in a World Amateur Q School back in March of this year in Arrowhead, designed by Ray Floyd, and I think a guy named Don Jackson. Just 27 holes, beautiful setting, big, fast, undulating greens. I really, really enjoyed playing Arrowhead. And about my 2nd round, I just have to share this. I shot 96, which I have a 14 handicap. That's really a poor round of golf. But I was traumatized. I did a show just recently here with Damon Goddard, and I didn't take the what was it? The pause. Practice the pause. Practice the pause. I made an 8 on a par 5 on my 3rd hole when I should have made it at worst a birdie. I was 158 yards from it with my drive, and things just worsened from there. Anyway, long story short, I got through 13 holes. I had 5 holes remaining. I was 24 over par, and I played the last 5 holes even par because I really felt like I was going to shoot over 100. Which I probably had never done except maybe as a little kid learning the game. But golf will humble you. It has a lot of great things that it does. I remember Sinclair Ferguson, the great Christian theologian from Scotland, said, for the Christian, golf is very sanctifying. And so, it'll humble you. But I loved Arrowhead. And moving along here, this is more of Arrowhead, just showing you kind of a picture of the golf course. Going forward, this is Mike Bailey, a friend of mine who's a golf writer out of Houston. I saw him at the 19th hole. The 19th hole is this giant, it's the convention center in downtown Myrtle Beach, and so it's this giant gathering of people. They have like 12 food stations, and they have bars and soft drinks everywhere, and they have all these golf exhibitors in there. And Mike was in like flight 20, I think. He's a younger guy with a lower handicap, and he was playing in there. I'm sure he's writing some type of article about the event, as I hope to do for the Tyler paper as well, that allows me to write as their golf correspondent. This is Tom Gorman. Tom won his flight. Let me make sure I get the flight right. Tom is the publisher of New England Golf. He's a golf writer and has a very, very prestigious golf magazine, New England Golf. He was first in flight 26. Actually, that was Mike's flight. I didn't write down which. Oh, flight 29. Excuse me, I did write it down. Tom is a 9.6 handicap, and he shot 237. So he broke 80 for 3 rounds. And if you shoot 80 each round, it would be 240. He shot 237, and with his handicap, he was 215. He was 1 under par with his handicap. I think in the finals, where all the winners played to determine the world champion, who was Christopher Rainey with a 29 handicap. It's just hard to fathom. Tom finished about, I think, 10th or 9th, so he is a really good golfer. I hope to follow up with Tom. If he's ever in Dallas, have him on the show. Let's move along here. Those are my 2 compadres there. There's Howie Alexander on the left in his all-white get-up, and Mr. George Rowe on the right. And as I said, Howie won flight 37. George was in, what flight was George in? Let me get to George here. George Rowe, wonderful guy. He's the one that negotiated to get the condo where I stayed at the Legends Golf Course. I'm going to show you that in just a little while. George was tied 19th for flight 55. He has a 9.4 handicap at Willowbrook Country Club. Howie has the 14.7. And Howie says that playing a difficult course like Willowbrook day in, day out, his handicap traveled very well. And also the fact that in our group we putt out. We do have some gimmies, but they have to be real gimmies, like less than, around 18 inches or less. Although I did miss a putt at that round where I had the 96, I missed a putt only about a foot. I was in a guy's line. He says, "Oh, don't worry about my line. Go ahead and putt out." And of course, I missed. And I said, "Well, I did worry about your line, but it wasn't his fault. It was my fault." But George did not get a lot of strokes, so that made it difficult for him to win. But there they are at the 19th hole one evening. This is Rick Jordan. Rick won his flight. And Rick is from Crossville, Tennessee. But Rick is originally from Mount Pleasant, Texas. And I don't have the flight number that he won, but he won his flight. He was happy as a lark at the 19th hole. And Mount Pleasant Country Club, by the way, only about 90 minutes from here, was originally a Perry Maxwell design. We talk about Ardmore, the course in Ardmore, Dornick Hills, that is one of our sponsors. Which reminds me, I forgot to mention my sponsors. Dornick Hills is one, as is the Tempest. Google either one of those courses. Dornick Hills in Ardmore, Oklahoma. The Tempest is in Longview, Texas. TempestGolfClub.com. These are 2 great golf courses. The Veritex Community Bank is one of my sponsors. The Golf Bank of Texas. Great for personal or small commercial lending. And also Niagara Conservation. And we'll take a little break here and let Tricia tell you about Niagara Conservation.
Thanks, Pat, and thanks, Niagara, for your support of so many nonprofits, including the Volunteers of America 125 plus years of national support for those in need. Are you tired of compromising between performance and water efficiency in your bathroom? Well, Niagara has the perfect solution for you. With almost 50 years of expertise, they've mastered the art of creating top-notch toilets, bidets, and more that save water without sacrificing performance. Don't miss out on this bathroom revolution and upgrade your space today. Niagara products are available nationwide.
This is a couple that I met at the 19th hole, and they love their golf. Anyway, this is Kelly and Monica Jung, and Kelly won last year. He didn't win this year. And then Monica played very good golf. She shot a 90 at True Blue, which is a difficult golf course. And so she was in, the women I think had about 4 different flights. This is Monica's sister, and she won her flight, and that was pretty exciting. This is Oki Sue, and she won her flight, and then this is her friend from California who won last year but not this year, and her name is Aksun Lee. These were people I met at the 19th hole and enjoyed I enjoyed my conversation with them. And this is the waitress at the Legends Golf Club, and she was very, very nice. She was our waitress at the Legends Golf Course there. And there's a picture of the Legends, the Morelands course, which is a PB Dye course, the son of Pete Dye. So it was very much target golf, and George and I played that on the Thursday because the last round was canceled. I think I've got it in here somewhere. There was a little hurricane that came through, and it hit, of course, in Florida. By the time it got to Myrtle Beach, it was 40-mile-an-hour winds. This is our last round that we played on Friday. That's me with Mark Dennehy and George Rowe, and then Gunter. And can't pronounce Gunter's last name. He's from Austria, but he's been in the South Carolina for now, 20 years. And they were just great company. That was my best round. My final round, I played at the Traditions. See if I've got there. Yeah, the Traditions, which is in Pawleys Island. And I had an 81. It was not a competitive round. But, we're in the mode of counting every stroke, putting out every putt. So I was glad to shoot 81. Felt better about myself coming home because of that. And this is Lexi. She was our waitress. Gunner gave us a great recommendation for Costa's restaurant there in Pawleys Island. Actually, Murrell's Inlet. It's a great area down near Pawleys Island to eat. And we got there at 5:30. They said it was going to be 8:30 before we could get a table. But we were fortunate enough to run into the owner as she was moving some things into a locker, like some alcohol, putting it into a locker near where George had parked. And she said, well, why don't y'all sit outside? We can accommodate you outside. And of course, it was so pleasant. It was 80 degrees with low humidity. Couldn't have been more pleasant. This is, again, Costa Restaurant. I said Costa's, it's Costa Restaurant. Highly recommend that if you're ever in the Murrell's Inlet area of Pawleys Island, which is just south of Myrtle Beach. This was a picture of the clubhouse there at the Legends Golf Course where we stayed for the week. One of the things about Myrtle Beach, this is kind of fun, is all the miniature golf. There's like probably 50 to 100 miniature golf courses because it's very much a tourist destination. This is my favorite, the Jurassic Golf. I've played the Ice Age course, not this trip, but on a previous trip. And as you can see, there's dinosaurs all throughout the miniature golf course. I wanted to mention Abby. She was the rep for Thrifty Car Rental that took care of me when I had my car rental problem. I had to trade in, I had to get my car jumped off by AAA and trade it in. That's what caused me to miss my tee time and be disqualified. But she was a pleasure to work with there with Thrifty Car Rental at Myrtle Beach Airport. This is a replica of the Ferris wheel that's at Myrtle Beach, which is kind of their symbol for the town, and all the activities that go on there. A lot of people go there and don't play golf. They just go to the beach and have a good time. But as I said, there's probably 60 or 70 golf courses in the greater Myrtle Beach area. This is my friend Robert Tabor that I met on the way home. Robert lives in Corinth, Texas, near Denton, plays golf all over. We're the same age. I found out he played football at Louisiana Tech with Terry Bradshaw, and he was just a delightful guy to talk to at the airport before going home. As was Rick Fazio, and Rick is a member of Royal Oaks Country Club in Dallas, and this was his first World Amateur event. And one of my dear friends is the late Larry Sims, who was probably the most welcoming person in the world of golf to me in 2011 when I moved back to Dallas from Atlanta. So we shared a couple of Larry Sims' story from Royal Oaks Country Club. And of course, the late great Bob Rollins, aka Dark Cloud, aka The Cloud, was a member of Royal Oaks Country Club, as was the late Don January, a dear friend of mine. So much history at Royal Oaks Country Club in Dallas. When I was at SMU, my first couple of years, freshman and sophomore in the early 70s, and playing on the SMU golf team, that was our home course. It's now the home course of Randy Smith, who is the teacher to Justin Leonard and now Scotty Scheffler. Scotty may not be ranked number one right now, but he's very close. So it was great to talk to Rick Fazio on my return to Dallas and Love Field. And I'm not sure they always have the direct flights to and from Myrtle Beach, but they do have it in the summer, and so it makes it real easy to get there and get back. And so I just wanted to share that. It's a free advertisement for the World Amateur. We didn't play in it. We started playing in it because we used to go over and play in the Causeway Coast Amateur in Northern Ireland, which I hope to do again. But you have to walk over there, which is fine because it never gets over 75 degrees, but I've got to get in walking shape for that next summer. And it is a Stableford competition, the Causeway Coast Amateur, and that means you get points for a bogey, par, or birdie, or eagle. If you make a double bogey or worse, using your handicap, you get 0 points. They don't subtract, you just get, quote, the open frame. And Dr. Stableford was the guy who came up with that. And he was a member of the golf course's Wallasey Golf Club in northern England. And he was an educated man. He was a medical doctor. And he said that he came up with a Stableford system to alleviate the trauma of metal play, meaning you have to count all your strokes. You can't take a mulligan, a do-over. You got to play all your strokes. The way the World Amateur does that is the most you can make is a 9. You get to 9 on a hole, pick it up. I played poorly, and I even got disqualified, but I did not have a 9 on my card. Did have some 8s. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. It's my Baker's Dozen show on season 2 of Hit It Where They Mow. I hope you've enjoyed this season 2. We're going to look forward to doing more shows in the near future. And until then, hit it where they mow, and we'll see you on the YouTube. Take care now.